Thompson, northern Manitoba. Average winter temperature -28.2 Celsius. 241 days a year below freezing. 103 days a year with lows of -20 or colder. This is a remote, wild and rugged place, well used to looking after itself. Thompson, as we know it today, was created pretty much out of nothing.
A large nickel deposit was discovered about 20 kilometers to the north of here. And the more research that was done on nickel mineralization, the more nickel they found. It's hard to fathom, but 55 years ago, there was absolutely nothing here other than boreal forest. And today, Thompson has grown to be Manitoba's third largest community. So it's a very, very significant achievement.
Building Thompson wasn't easy. 450 miles north of Winnipeg in a remote and hostile environment. But the people here were used to making things happen. 24 diesel locomotives ran around the clock, bringing in 300,000 tons of supplies from Thicket Portage.
There was a rail service from the Portage to Churchill, but it didn't extend into this area. So they had to build a railway spur. They also had to transport all the material that they used for building the mine by Caterpillar train.
So I guess it was called the Snowball Express, and it was used, they would pull many sleighs behind it, and it had an engine and tracks, and they would pull them in the wintertime, because you can't travel in this area off the roads during the summertime because it's swamp and muskeg, and your equipment would just literally disappear and it would be gone.
While Thompson owes its existence and prosperity to mining, the city was determined to become more than just a mining town.
The mine company at the time has been sold to Vale & Co., a Brazilian-based multinational conglomerate. And they've since have made it known that they intend to work the properties, the mine properties of Thompson, well into the future. And as such, it provides a measure of surety, if you will, in the sense of having their presence still active in the local economy. However, mining does have a finite life.
So it's very important at this point that the City of Thompson and Thompson Unlimited work on diversifying our economy here.
Like they say, if you have lemons, make lemonade. Well, we have coal, so we're selling it.
We have the great outdoors in our backyard.
The answer was to develop its position as the hub of the North.
We are in the center of the province of Manitoba, and we pretty much are the stopping point before you go way further north. And we're still accessible by road, air, and train.
I lived here for 2/3 of my life, and it's been a very exciting place. I moved here, of course, as a young fellow with no job from farmland Saskatchewan, basically, and I worked at the mine as a mechanic. Got very involved in the community through wildlife and Rotary, and many of the other things progressed as I got into business, into the Chamber of Commerce. It's been a very exciting place to grow up.
It's incredibly important to me when looking at Thompson and making a big business decision, even coming up here on behalf of McDonald's. There was so much consideration looking at the mine, but then also looking at the rest of the city and the growth that was happening. I really realized that Thompson had grown beyond a mining town. There's a lot more here. There's new businesses opening up. There's new hotels that are coming to town. And that really fueled my decision, knowing that there was so much more to Thompson than just a mining town.
So, Thompson is a great place to live and work. It's a place where people are used to getting on with things, making things happen. And it's very, very cold. All of which makes Thompson ideal for cold weather testing. Over recent years, Ford, Hummer and Jaguar, Yamaha and Arctic Cat, to name just a few, have tested their vehicles here. But then, someone had a brave, revolutionary, visionary idea. Thompson was the ideal location not just for ad hoc testing, but for a permanent facility for the testing of large jet engines. It was a vision that captured people's imagination. There are 4 key characteristics that made Thompson the ideal choice for creating a global aerospace centre for icing and environmental research. First is the cold. Second, logistics. Thompson is the hub of the North, with an all-weather road through to Winnipeg, an airport, and extensive bus, rail and trucking services. Third, the local infrastructure. And finally, the can-do spirit of the people of Thompson. The city offers all of the infrastructures needed to support the test crew and equipment over the duration of the tests. People in Thompson know quite a bit about living in the cold, harsh weather and make absolutely sure you have everything you need to make this cold weather experience a safe and successful one. With all this in place, Thompson came out top of 200 sites in Canada when Rolls-Royce and Pratt & Whitney started to look for a new way of conducting their cold weather tests. But for this project to become a reality, many different organizations had to come together in ways that were quite new and rather exciting.
Both ourselves and Pratt & Whitney realised some years ago that we have a shared need for developing ground-based ice test and research technology, and as a result it just made absolute sense to join in partnership.
We identified a need to look for an alternative to be able to do our icing certification testing from where we've been doing it, and the option came up to look here in Canada, and then we found out that our friends at Rolls-Royce were looking for much the same. So we decided to join up and started having conversations with the folks at MDS and RC Canada.
It means a lot to Manitoba. It means creating not just jobs, but highly skilled jobs, highly qualified jobs for the North and for Manitobans. It's a good day for Manitoba and the North.
It got more complex as we started to go into it. I mean, the initial thinking was it would be a 50-50 joint venture. A relatively simple structure, and I suppose that part of the structure is, but then you start adding on the pieces of looking to do the development of local talent and involving folks from Western Economic Diversification, and then the evolution of a not-for-profit that was formed alongside of Glacier, the agreements between those, and then the individual agreements that we needed to place with NRC. The contractual agreements started to evolve, and we ended up with, as I said, I think it's around 22 individual agreements to make this a reality.
Siting of the specific test stand, the location, all had to be negotiated through provincial ground lease. There was a variety of different sites that were picked, and they had to resolve that by picking the best one that they could.
Well, I think that in the future we see Thompson emerging as really a service center versus the traditional mining community that we were established. Part of that service center, I think, is the testing industry.
We want to be able to provide the infrastructure, we want to be able to provide the amenities, the services, the goods that are in need here to attract people here. We want them to stay here as long as they can to do their testing, and when they do leave, we want them to be coming back again, because we want to develop a center of excellence for winter and cold weather testing in real-world conditions in our environment, not just confined to consistently cold weather, but our amenities as well.
And we are going to build this industry, and I think we're going to build it based on the fact that we've established those strong relationships and we can deliver what industry needs.
The result? Agreement on a $60 million facility that would, in the words of the press release, provide the aerospace industry with specialized operational conditions and capability to meet the growing requirements for new jet engine icing certification and other adverse cold weather conditions. It will also be used for a variety of performance, endurance, and specialty testing on a year-round basis outside of the icing season. This facility rapidly became known as Glacier, the Global Aerospace Center for Icing and Environmental Research. All that remained was to build it.
We started out actually going into woods on a tracked vehicle to find the right site, and once we'd achieved that, it was a question of putting in a roadway.
We quarried the rock right here on site. We crushed the rock right on site and we built the road here.
And after the road was constructed, we did the site preparation work. Right. The site preparation work consisted of dynamiting bedrock and then bringing in the granular and excavating all the muck and the silt and filling it in with the granular and bringing it up out of the mud.
We watched 2 cement trucks pouring 24 hours a day in minus 37 degrees temperatures. And it's hard to get a grasp for that. Now that the steel is rising above the ground level, it is particularly awesome. I'm not sure that I still appreciate exactly the enormity of what's going on.
Almost everything you see here is very large in scale. And as such, we had to truck it in. And there's only one way to get here from Winnipeg, and it's up the one road that you can come up.
We've been very sensitive about the clearance of the land. We've only taken down trees that's absolutely necessary to be taken down, and we've planted wherever we possibly can to recover. We've worked hard to make sure that the test stand is oriented in a direction that won't impact from a noise point of view on the community. And we've put in additional design features at the site to deflect noise and keep the noise down to a minimum.
I've worked all over the world, and the Manitoba people are very tough. We've not lost one day due to weather, regardless of what the conditions were. They came out here every day. They did a very good job, and it's been very exciting dealing with that breed of people.
Nothing was easy, and everything has been done and done on time. So if you look back to the fact that it was, I believe, April 7th of 2009 when we broke ground here, when we first started clearing some trees for a road, and that 18 months later we're ready to run an engine. It's, in terms of engineering feats, it's truly incredible.
Glacier is 10 kilometers south of Thompson and is made up of 2 interconnected sites.
Site A has 2 buildings here. It's our prep building where the engines are received as they're trucked up from Winnipeg. They'll go into the prep building. They'll be married to the interface, the intermediate frame that couples them up to the test stand. And then our offices and our control building is also on Site A. So when the operator's testing the engine, operating it, the throttle is in the hand of an operator in the control building here at Site A. And then if you continue down our road to the west, another 1.6 kilometers to the west of us is where Site B is. Site B is where the test stand is, where the engine will actually be mounted during testing operations. So Site B has all of the services necessary for engine testing. So we have 100,000 liters of Jet A1 fuel down there. We have hydraulics that we can apply hydraulic loads to the engine, electrical loads, and then of course there's all the vast array of instrumentation required to measure thousands of parameters from the engine. So then connecting Site A and Site B besides the road is we actually have a fiber optic data highway between the 2 sites on telephone poles. There's a huge amount of information that are passed from the computers that are collecting the data on Site B down to the computers at Site A where the operators are actually recording the data. And then once the data is recorded, then it's passed by fiber optics through Thompson, through Winnipeg to our customers worldwide.
Glacier is truly a unique facility, designed to take advantage of the environment and to be kind to the environment. Designed to offer cold weather testing efficiently and economically, while also providing more traditional testing opportunities.
We are looking at being able to run summertime endurance, operability, performance testing here, and have already actually started to facilitate some of those capabilities into the stand. So we expect expanding the utilization of the site obviously beyond the original vision of the icing testing.
Also gives us the opportunity for doing things like running biofuels, where we can test biofuels in normal ambient conditions and cold conditions.
But what makes Glacier truly unique is the research being carried out into ice crystal ingestion.
Ice crystal testing is basically different concentrations of ice and the ice in a different format, rather than very fine particles, much larger crystalline particles, which pose a very different threat to the engine.
It's not currently well known as to what the actual physics are of how it is that ice is able to accrete inside the engine where the temperature is 20 or 30 degrees above the melting point. But that's indeed where these ice crystals seem to be forming. And so the NRC is doing a lot of work, fundamental physics, trying to replicate the condition of how ice hitting a hot surface can actually stick to it.
Glacier is already making great strides towards achieving its goal of being a global centre of excellence for cold weather testing and research. This is a big step, now and for the future.
There is nothing to compete with it, really. It's nothing else in the world can do an engine this size to the level that this one has. So I think this one is going to be the mark for the world for the next at least 20 or 30 years.
I mean, what we have here is we've got a facility capable of testing the full range of today's engines. We've got growth capacity for growth of engines, and we've got icing technology that meets all of today's certification requirements, plus the infrastructure to move into a mixed phase and ice crystals. And we offer that at significantly lower cost than traditional facilities.
Thompson and Glacier are the future of cold weather testing and research, a centre of excellence unmatched anywhere else in the world. And right now, you can be part of that future.
It's a world-class, world-leading facility, one of its kind in the world, and we're definitely looking forward to having our customers come.
This facility is ready to go. We're open for business.